Harris, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar facing some significant fallout after making these harsh comments following the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
There is nothing more effed up, than to completely pretend that, his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade. These people are full of and it's important for us to call them out.
Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn took offense, reacting on X, quote, Ilhan shows no remorse in slandering an honorable man who was brutally murdered in cold blood for the entire world to see. As many grieve the loss of a husband, father, and patriotic American, Ilhan has chosen a divisive and dangerous path for.
The hearing opened under a cloud of tension. Representative Ilhan Omar sat at the center of the chamber, poised yet visibly bracing for the storm ahead. Around her, allies and critics occupied their seats like two opposing fronts. To her left, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib exchanged firm nods of solidarity. To her right, Nicole Malliotakis and Lisa McClain waited with papers in hand, ready to strike. Cameras captured Omar's stillness, calm on the surface, but her eyes betrayed the pressure of the moment. When OC rose to speak, her voice trembled with conviction. "This isn't about accountability," she declared. "It's about silencing a woman who refuses to bow." Gasps rippled through the room. Then Malliotakis stepped forward, her tone precise and cutting, accusing Omar of sowing division and undermining American values. "You've used your platform not to unite," she said, "but to attack the very principles that allow you to serve here." The reaction was immediate: murmurs, discomfort, and a chill that swept across the chamber. It was no longer politics. It was personal.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlelady from Michigan is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to use that logic, well, then all those people should have just said sorry and we'd move on, right? But no, we don't do that. And let me tell you, I take a little bit of offense to what the hell is wrong with me. I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with me. I took an oath to defend the Constitution, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Again, I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm going to hold the Constitution, and it's very simple. We really shouldn't even have this debate. If you break the law and you follow due process, there are consequences to your actions, even if you say sorry. So we can try all of the diversion tactics that we would like. It doesn't change the fact that someone broke the law and that someone should be held accountable. It is disappointing, Mr. Speaker, that their own party can't hold them accountable, that they have such hypocrisy. So with that, I yield 2 minutes to my friend from New York.
Awoke fired back, her words like sparks in dry air. She condemned the attacks as veiled discrimination, warning that history would judge harshly those who weaponized power against women of color. Her finger pointed across the aisle. "If you truly believe in freedom of speech," she said, "then stop using it to punish your colleagues." The chamber erupted, applause colliding with shouts of protest. It wasn't debate anymore. It was an eruption of two Americas colliding under one roof. When Lisa McClain took the microphone, the tone shifted again. Calm, unyielding, she accused Omar of showing a pattern of anti-American sentiment, saying such behavior disqualified her from key committees. "We can disagree on policy," McClain said, "but not on loyalty to this nation." Her side applauded loudly. Omar sat motionless, eyes blinking fast, her composure slowly fraying. The air grew heavy, thick with confrontation and moral accusation.
Nicole Malliotakis.
Gentlelady is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentlelady from the great state of New York, Nicole Malliotakis.
The gentlewoman from New York is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've heard from my colleagues the reasons why the Representative Omar should be removed from this committee, but I feel like all the reasons have not just yet been stated, which is why I rise to add for the record. We've heard about the comments that were made regarding anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli views, but I rise to add to the record that as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I've sat there and heard the representative actually spew anti-American rhetoric as well. I've been in that committee room where the representative equates Israel and the United States to Hamas and the Taliban. Absolutely unacceptable for a member of that committee. I've also heard the representative equate that it is the United States' fault that there is turmoil in Venezuela, that is not because of the oppressive socialist and communism that has spread throughout Central and South America in Venezuela at the hands of the Maduro and Hugo Chavez regimes. That is unacceptable. And as a New York representative, to hear the representative belittle, to try to diminish the worst terrorist attack on United States soil on September 11, 2001, as some people did something, that is unacceptable as well. And I hold the same standard for this side of the aisle that I do the other, because when another colleague on my side said something about 9/11, I also voted to have her removed from the Education Committee because I thought that was inappropriate. So I'm being consistent here, and I hope my colleagues will do the same to show that this is about consistency and accountability, because we should not have an individual with those views on the committee that is tasked with representing our country and our Congress to foreign nations. I yield back.
Then came Rashida Tlaib, tears already streaking her cheeks. Her voice cracked as she defended Omar, calling the attacks unfair, cruel, and profoundly un-American. She reminded the room that Omar had faced death threats and hatred, yet continued to serve with courage. "You don't have to agree with her," Tlaib pleaded, "but you must see her humanity." The chamber fell silent, even some critics looked away. When Omar finally spoke, her voice was low but unwavering. She recounted fleeing war, finding refuge in America, and believing in its promise of equality. "I'm not perfect," she said softly, "but I've always fought for what I believe is right." Looking toward her accusers, she added, "You can disagree with my ideas, but you cannot erase my love for this nation." The stillness that followed felt sacred, as if every person in the room was holding their breath.
Thank you, and I yield back the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I seek unanimous consent to address the House floor for 1 minute and extend and revise my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to congratulate my colleagues on voting to remove Representative Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. The passage of H.R. 76 sends a strong message that we support Israel and the Jewish community. I urge the 118th Congress to now stand together, proudly upholding every single American, no matter race, pedigree, religion, nor creed, as any less American than their neighbor. That Jewish Americans are patriotic Americans, and that we all have a role in fighting bigotry and anti-Semitism in our country. We must make sure that the House of Representatives reflects such principles as a united body. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to...
The silence shattered when Malliotakis replied, her tone edged with disdain. "Patriotism isn't proven in speeches," she snapped. "It's proven in actions." The exchange escalated fast. Voices overlapping, faces flushed. Omar's calm cracked. Frustration seeped through her restraint. Awake leaned in, whispering for her to stay composed, but the shouting drowned all reason. Cameras caught tears gathering in Omar's eyes as the room dissolved into chaos. Oka rose again, anger sharp in her voice. "This is not justice," she shouted. "This is theater." She accused the chamber of turning democracy into performance, of punishing influence rather than misconduct. Her words drew applause and outrage in equal measure. It was one of her most impassioned moments, raw, fearless, and painfully human.
Mr. Speaker, freedom of speech is the beating heart of a democracy. It's the entire reason that this building exists, so that we can talk out our differences. Free societies do not fear free speech, even when that speech is hateful or malignant or stupid. free societies recognize that the only way to separate fact from fiction, love from hate, truth from lies, wisdom from folly, or good from evil is to put them side by side and to trust the people to know the difference. No central authority must ever be given the power to take this vital freedom away from the people or to punish anyone solely for expressing their opinions. Now, we based our entire form of government on the assumption that when exposed to all sides and all viewpoints, more than half the people are going to get it right more than half the time. This assumption has served us well through the centuries. The left rejects this premise. For many years, leftists have told us that speech is violence and can be answered with violence. This justifies their shouting down opponents and disrupting peaceful assemblies. We've repeatedly watched leftist mobs burn our cities, loot shopkeepers, and assault people on the streets while leftist politicians egg them on. We see the growing physical attacks on law enforcement. The left used the FBI to suppress debate on critical issues ranging from COVID lockdowns to Biden family influence peddling to climate hysteria. It's called for government commissions to regulate it. In Europe, leftist governments now criminalize it. Now, I raise these points because a member of this House recently made some truly vile and despicable remarks about Charlie Kirk after his brutal assassination. Her words should be loudly and universally condemned. Now, last night on the House floor, a resolution of censure was brought against her in the name of Charlie Kirk to formally punish her for her hateful rhetoric. But what did Charlie Kirk say about hate speech?
As the clock wound down to the final vote, Lisa McClain spoke once more. Her tone was even, her message resolute. "We are not silencing Ilhan Omar," she said. "We are upholding the standards of this institution." But the decision was already sealed. Omar sat motionless, head bowed, tears slipping quietly onto her notes. When the gavel struck, the chamber exploded. Cheers from one side, sobs from the other. AOC and Tlaib rushed to Omar's side, wrapping their arms around her. "You may remove me from this seat," Omar whispered, "but you will not remove my voice." Cameras flashed as the three women walked out together, bruised, unbroken and forever etched into the nation's conscience. Outside, reporters swarmed. AOC called it a warning, not a victory. Tlaib spoke of truth being replaced by politics. Omar, wrapped in a scarf against the wind, simply said, "I have no regrets." The words trended worldwide within hours. Meanwhile, Malliotakis defended the vote as a step toward accountability. Her composure drew both praise and scorn. Hashtag stand with Omar and hashtag accountability now trended side by side, a digital mirror of a divided nation. That evening, Omar spoke in a televised interview, her tone reflective and pained. "I was not removed for wrongdoing," she said. "I was removed for who I am." Across cable news, panels debated the meaning of loyalty, justice, and representation. Commentators replayed the emotional moments of OC's outrage, Tlaib's tears, Omar's trembling resolve, framing them as symbols of a democracy wrestling with its own conscience. When Omar returned home, hundreds gathered to greet her, holding signs that read "Love over hate" and "We stand with Ilhan." Her voice quivered as she thanked them. "You've shown me what real solidarity looks like." It was no longer just a political hearing. It was a human story about identity, belonging, and the fragile balance between power and principle. And as the lights of Washington dimmed that night, one truth remained clear. The vote may have ended a chapter in Ilhan Omar's congressional journey, but it opened a lasting question for America. What does loyalty truly mean in a nation built on dissent?